I'm setting off on a journey to Darjeeling. The mission is to bring back home some of the highly priced first flush teas for T Squared. But first, I'll have to make my way through a fascinating country of India. My first impressions of India was a very vibrant country, and when people say it is a shock on the senses, I can only say that's the truth. It's beautiful, it's colorful, it's vibrant, it's noisy, it's everywhere. Traffic is a mayhem where you find anything on the streets that has wheels or doesn't. Cows, monkeys, goats, bicycles, tricycles, scooters, trucks. It's a beautiful but very intense overload of the senses. What drew me to Darjeeling is the craftsmanship, the quality, and the unique flavors that Darjeeling produce. There are many unique teas in the world. Each one has their own set of attributes. Wonderful flavors, fragrances, their origins, the history, and how the tea dances on your palate. Darjeeling is a unique tea, as it has also always been referred to as a champagne of teas. So we're up in the Jungpanna tea garden here. Some of the plantings here, these are all original plantings, seed plantings, and some of these bushes are way over 100 years old. As you can see, it's really misty today. They're expecting some rain tonight, and this kind of special climate is what gives the Darjeeling that distinct character. There are some warm days and some very cool nights, and this mist that comes down off the mountain from the Himalayas gives it a cooling effect. So that this microclimate is very, very important for the development of the characters in the leaf, and some of these components, amongst of course many others, give Darjeelings their characteristics and flavor. Once what is made in the field obviously is then only enhanced in the factory, and what happens there will then determine the final outcome. But without this unique microclimate and the bushes and the soil, there's really no good tea to be had. A bad plantation will always create an inferior tea, and a good plantation, really the crop or the tea is made in the field, and then you can only enhance it in the factory. The only way up to Jungpanna is the stairs, which got washed out by the monsoon last season, so we're finding ourselves to undertake a quite interesting hike. It used to be about 650-700 steps up in the mountain, but as you can see, some of these steps are no longer here, and I'm sure we'll have to do a little bit of work until we get up there, so some good exercises in order. 658, 659, 700. How are you feeling, Ludwig?
I'm dying.
Oh God, thank God it's not just me. I thought I was getting old.
But no, not just you.
It may be the altitude too, huh?
Oh yeah.
It's about 1,500 meters. The only good thing is that our guide is lagging behind. That's making me feel better. When assessing what to purchase for T Squared, it is important that we imagine what the tea will turn out to be in a few weeks or even in a few months down the road. What we're tasting today is not necessarily what we will find once the tea has undergone its journey and has ripened or aged a little bit on the way. As the teas have only been produced a couple of days ago, or in some instances this morning, the flavors still have to settle. What we have to assess is that the tea that we're tasting is well balanced and has a good finish. That finish will carry through and produce a tea that even in months from now on has not lost its sparkle. Although Darjeeling can be enjoyed throughout the year, to me personally, Darjeeling always triggers the arrival of spring. When the sun warms the first buds on the trees and the garden is just about to produce the first flowers, is that time when my craving for Darjeeling is the strongest. I often like to sit in the backyard when there's still the chill in the air and enjoy a cup of that fresh muscatel, bright flavor that Darjeeling produces. To me, Darjeeling is simply spring in a cup. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, we're at Singal, and it's time to make tea. The last night's crop has been withering for about 14 hours now, and it is time to get processed, so we're here to get going and witness the whole process. So we're not glutton for punishment when we get up at 4:30 in the morning to process the tea. Timing is crucial here. The teas will come from the fields generally in the afternoon after they're picked and they're being laid out to wither. The withering process in Darjeeling is a hard wither process, which means it takes about 14 to 16 hours. It's crucial that the tea at that time gets processed. If we wait too long, the tea will have withered too much and the moisture content will have dropped too much. These are the leaves that now have withered for about 16 hours overnight, and the moisture content has dropped to about 60%. Now this is the time where the leaves will have to undergo further processing, and that'll happen in the rooms down below. The workers are gathering the leaves in bags and will drop them through a chute in the floor onto the lower level, where they will receive their first rolling. The chutes in the ceiling is where the leaves have been dropped from the upper floor, and they get processed in the rollers batch by batch for whichever weight they decide is enough for one machine at the time. And they'll receive their first rolling here. Once the rolling process has been completed, they will be dropped in the buckets down below. We'll take a look at that later. After rolling about 10 to 12 minutes, the leaves are now ready to come out. And the workers opened the bottom of the roller, and everything is just dropped down below into the bucket. The smell is just intoxicating. It's wonderful.
Yeah, true. It's coming out, you know?
Yeah.
The flavor is coming out.
The smell of this is absolutely intoxicating. This is
Just
pure.
makes you want to sleep.
It makes you want to sleep in it. Well, we could use a little bit more sleep, but you're absolutely right.
After drying of that, we'll do the tea testing, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Then we'll go to the government and have a cup of tea. Then again, we'll come for tea testing at around 8 o'clock.
Okay, great.
I must say, tea tasting at 4:30 in the morning sounds just perfect right now. Definitely use a good cup of tea.
Crazy, crazy.
There's no better way of smelling some freshly harvested tea than grabbing a full hand of it and holding it right up to your nose. The warmth from your breath will help to release some of the essential oils that are locked up in this shocked tea that has just undergone the process of being heated and dried. So we're looking at the dryer right now. The gauge on the machine here is for the blade, to bring the blade up or down to give it more of an even layer for the actual drying. The conveyor will bring the leaves to the next stage where they go into the actual chamber, and the drying chamber, you can see the conveyor here. I'm not sure if that is clearly visible, where the leaves will go through, and then they will, here we go. So they can say maybe
some of the material in here, as it goes through the dryer, it'll eventually come out on the bottom, completely dry. We're back to the dryer now, where after 23 minutes, the first batch of the Khmer sinensis leaf have just come out. So at this point, the raw leaf has been processed and dried. No further oxidization can happen. The kill-green process has happened. The enzymes are now dead, and we basically have the raw material, or the basic leaf. It's quite hot in here. The dryer gives off some nice heat, and the leaves are coming out here little by little. And at this point, the raw leaf is completely dry. There isn't a lot of fragrance at this moment. The leaf has basically gone a little bit into shock through the exposure to heat, and it will regain its aroma a little bit later once the leaf is dried and is recovering. What we see here is a sorter where the tea is sorted and sifted into the different types of grades that we have. There's a progression of screens, each one finer than the other, which will separate the different grades. The top would be the coarsest screen, resulting into a large full leaf style tea, and the subsequent screens will get finer and finer to then basically separate the fannings or the dust from a basic CTC or into orange pekoe grades. We can go up from OP up to an SFT JFOP grade. We always joke in the industry that what we will find in the tea bag are the fannings or the dust that is being swept off the floor. Quite literally, some of this dust that's on the floor here actually looks a lot better than you would find in some very basic commercial tea bag grades. Here at Junchhabari, at 1850 meters of altitude in Nepal, we are looking at a different processing method. The workers sitting on the floor with the big bamboo screens are picking out the leaves by hand. This is essentially the same sifting process that happens by machine in some of the other tea gardens we saw earlier in Darjeeling. This is a sorting method that is used by many farms throughout the world, particularly smaller family-run gardens that cannot afford large and fancy machinery as we saw earlier. It's time to leave India, and with that Darjeeling, the land of tea. I will do so with somewhat a heavy heart, as part of me would really like to stay and explore more of this fabulous country, its rich history and its amazing people. It's been a journey with lots of impressions, great food, and I made new friends. I'll return to Canada and back to Tea Squared with some new ideas, with some fresh teas, some amazing flavors, and some memories that will last a lifetime.